This is Krista Dunk, and welcome to this interview of one of our Broken Chapters author interview series. And you are watching here on the Author Acceleration YouTube channel. I lead Author Acceleration and 100x Publishing, and I love all things books, authors, and it's just my favorite. And so we're here today talking with one of our Broken Chapters authors, Judi Kruis. Welcome, Judi.
Hi, Krista. Good to talk with you. It's always a pleasure.
Yes, you too. Yes, you too. And I love talking about Broken Chapters. You are the author of chapter 11. And I'm just going to click over to that real quick. When Faith Looks Like Failure is that chapter title. And I'd love to kind of talk more about that subject today. But if you don't mind, first, I would love to read some of your bio, if that's okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Judi Kruis, coach, artist, author. And I love what you're doing. You actually have a job where you're an international buyer. And
Yes, I do.
yeah, lots of creative adventures. You are an artist and you do a lot of art shows and different things. You're also doing some missionary work from time to time.
Yeah.
You've been to many various countries. And so, yeah, I love all the things that you're doing. You live in Michigan. And so fun to talk with other people on the other side of the country here. And yeah, excited to hear what you have to say. Okay, so Broken Chapters, just in case anybody hasn't read that, that's a book that 100x Publishing published in 2023. And it has 21 authors, and we each describe, well, just as it sounds, a broken chapter of our lives, kind of where we were at, whether it was loss, disappointments, some kind of just other struggle or mindset issues. It's all kinds of, it really runs the gamut of life issues. And then how we saw God show up in it, because he is, as they say, the author and finisher of our faith. And he does rewrite broken chapters of our lives, for which I am very thankful. And so you can find that on Amazon if you'd like to pick up a Kindle version or a print version of Broken Chapters. And so I'm happy to have you as a part of that project, Judi. I think you brought an interesting chapter that really discussed, I think, something every single person on the planet can really relate to. It's kind of like disappointments. Like you think there's this direction and you have these expectations, and then you think you're doing something for the Lord, with the Lord, and then you're kind of like, wow, that really didn't go how I thought. It looks like more like failure. How do I deal with that? And we have expectations of ourselves, other people. We even have expectations of God. Sometimes it just, we're like, what's going on here? And so, what do you want to say about your chapter and your journey to somebody who might be listening who's like, yeah, I can relate to that?
There was through the years, I had a lot of different steps, and I share in the chapter about I would hear little things from God and try them. I would go in a direction, and I did have a lot of assumptions and expectations that everything was going to go smoothly. It was going to be immediate and easy, and it wasn't all that way. And one of the big things too, I think a lot of us as authors in this book are sharing our fear of failure, because there's so many places, whether it's in a relationship or in an endeavor, there's places where it doesn't go as smooth as we think. Things are rough for a relationship, for children, for life and health. And it is hard when we're putting our faith in people. It's even harder. We're almost guaranteed disappointment. But when we're putting faith in God, we think we shouldn't have any of that. And that was, I think, something that I bring to a chapter that wasn't in others as much.
Yeah, I would agree. It's kind of like just like the journey and having like some pitfalls along the way and things that you thought were going to go a certain way and then just didn't. And, I think people can look back on their lives and see a lot of things that just like, I thought this was what I was supposed to do. And then, wow, that just really didn't work out. And so how do we deal with all of those things, right?
It also doesn't mean that it didn't work out. That's the thing I found later. It's like one time in my journaling, listening, and God, why does this look so wrong? He's like, I didn't call you to success. I called you to obedience. And it just actually brought a big relief to me to go, oh, so it doesn't mean that it's supposed to look the way I imagined it. I'm really doing okay. And I had such great reassurance from him that I was doing things right. And he would take care of the rest. And
That's so
sometimes
cool.
it is when we're figuring things out on our own, doesn't always work well.
I agree. I've had those times in my own life for sure. And I like one of your quotes in the book that you just kind of mentioned is it says, sometimes our greatest success is just in our obedience. And that's really a powerful thought. And I think if we can shift our perspective to have it be success, maybe looking more like that, that could really change a lot of things and help melt away some of those disappointments and the struggles and the striving and all of the I have to do things for God and it has to look a certain way and all the things that we think. Yeah, maybe that's just in our obedience, like you said. That's really good. How's that come about in your life? Has that thought kind of changed your perspective?
I'm not so worried. I think a big word you said, striving. I'm not striving as much to make something. I mean, yeah, I have a degree in business. Yes, I like creativity. So and then I was in a product development. So you're looking for an end result. And I started realizing with God, it's not always the end result. Sometimes it's just the process that happens within us along the way, or the other people we encounter along the way. So that was actually freeing. I realized it's like, I don't have to make it all look perfectly. I have to know what's my part and let him do what's his part. So
Yeah, so
very
good.
helpful.
Very helpful. And like what you said too, you said something that made me think maybe it's a personality style or that tends to fall into this kind of pitfall easier. The goal focused people, results focused people, linear process people, who really can get stuck, really feeling like, failures, because this was the goal and it was supposed to look like this and it was, yeah, all the things. And so how do you work with things that seem like failures? Like, do you have any thoughts from your own journey if somebody's looking back and they're like, I have all these failures, right? I'm going to do the air quotes.
Yeah.
Like you said, maybe they aren't. Were they really? So yeah, talk about that for a minute. How do we work with what seems like failures in our lives then?
I think something more recently, even though I have some things I could share from long ago as I learned that, but even in Psalm 23, where it says he prepares a table before us in the presence of our enemies. So just so many places when things are going wrong, asking him, what is the good in this? Because he works all things for good. So there's got to be some good, even in something that looks like a failure or looks like it's not working. So what's the good, Lord? What are you showing me through this? So a lot of times too, that's shaping us for what is to come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I actually had someone, I didn't think about this before the interview started or anything, but someone once told me, like, it was a prophet. It was like one of the first prophetic words I ever received in my whole life. They said, God has brought you through a lot of disappointments in order to mature you. I was like, wow, okay. I'm not sure I like that. It doesn't feel real good. But there's a lot of things in life that don't feel real good. And I suppose disappointments do mature us in ways and um, help us to take a different journey with God. And like you said, ask, well, what is the good in this? What moving forward, what can I take from this? What have I learned? How have I grown? There has to be some good in it. And I've seen that. I've seen that too. Feel like, again, the air quotes, the failure situations that it's like I feel like God still uses all of our experiences. He puts those to use. And I'm really thankful for that. And you mentioned something else, Judi, about fears trying to cancel faith. And
Yes.
and what do you mean by that? I would love to hear more about that thought.
Well, just what in response to what you were just talking about too, so often we're looking at our circumstances so much more than what God is working on. So God has shown us a big picture, say, like when he told me, start a business with your art. And I'm like, what art? I didn't really have any. I took an art class, but I didn't have enough to have a business. So I could have just said, I'm not good enough, fear. I could have said, I don't know how, I don't have enough, I can't. And yet I I took some steps, and it was interesting to me how I just, okay, I'm gonna take another class and I'm gonna learn what it might look like to have a business with art. And actually my first couple years went pretty good. So, but yes, then there's all kinds of other things that come in and you go, did I hear wrong? And have, fear comes again that, oh, right, the economy tanked, people aren't buying art, but yet God said, no, keep creating. And I'm like, okay. But I could have let the fear just go, all right, this isn't something that if it failed already, or I only got this far, so it's not successful. But yet now 20 years later, even more is coming, as I create and as I sell. So I think a lot of times we just let a little disappointment or a little fear because we're not equipped or trained or experienced tell us that we can't do it. And so we never try.
Wow. Yeah. So anywhere along the journey, a disappointment could come of any
Yes.
size. um, and we could kind of partner with that, the fear that that disappointment brings, or that circumstance, or that change, or a self-image issue. And wow, yeah, yeah, we don't want to partner with that, the fear that says it's not going to work. And especially, like you said, if you know that God said, create a business with your art, and you're like, what art? I had an experience similar. God said, you will speak. He didn't say to whom, about what, or when, but I knew I was supposed to speak. I'm like, are you sure? Because I'm not the greatest verbal communicator in the world here, but I knew what he said. And so, like you were just saying, you knew what he said. And there are all kinds of obstacles that can come along the path that can look like disappointments, that can cause fear. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you have anything else to say about that? Like, what can we do about these, or what have you done, Judi, about the fears that have come along on your path? What does that look like?
Um, Sometimes too, it's just like, even when the fear is there, it's trying something. Instead of trying always a giant thing, just try a small thing. And it helps your comfort level, but then it also is less intimidating. So that's something I really try to do. It's like, okay, you told me to write, God, is that for an hour later? So I tried something small. I used to blog a lot and continued to write on the side. And it's like, okay, now it's time for books. And I'm like, I'm ready, because I put little actions in, and then he started bringing the bigger things together.
Oh, I love that so much. It's like you took what he said, and even if you were able to take small steps in preparation, it's like you were building up evidence in your life and in your self-image and in your heart and in your habits that were positive and that were moving toward that word that he had for you, even in small ways. I like that. I feel
Yeah.
like everybody can do that, right?
Yeah. And then trusting his timing. Yeah.
And trusting his timing. Yeah. And that can be, I think, a challenge too. At least I know in my life, I think you and I are similar in this. We can get like really excited about something that he says, and we're like, we're just going for this. And then that's the timing thing. And that's I think a discernment issue too. Is, okay, God, is this now? Is this coming up soon? Is this far in the future? Or like, what do you want me to do with this now? You told me this, and what can I do right now to move toward it, knowing that it's coming and you said that this is what you want me to do? um, that's probably a good question. Okay, what can I do about this right now? What's the timing on this?
Right.
Yeah, have you done that? Has that something you've kind of developed along the way?
Like you said, I have been the one to try and get it all. Let's do it all now. Right. And learning through that no, sometimes God's not always in a hurry. I think some people say he always is, like rush, but um from my listening, I guess maybe it's just my life, whatever, but he's not always trying to rush us. He's trying to prepare us. So yeah, I've learned along the way, and it's great that we can share what we learn with others, so they don't have to run into the same issues.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. And one issue, I think, of jumping ahead of God, it does lead to some disappointment kind of naturally, because it wasn't quite the right timing, or circumstances or something. And it's kind of us forcing things. I feel like with a right heart, with the, okay, Lord,
Yeah.
I'm going to obey. And I don't think he's upset about that. I think it's just like,
I don't either. From
yeah,
what I've heard through the years, no, he is glad when we rush and try and do things, but he still has the best timing.
right. And he'd be like, you know what, Judy and Krista, yeah, good. You were obedient and you thought, but we just need to be a little closer. You need to hear my voice a little clearer, seek me more, hang out with me more. We'll talk about timing. We'll talk about strategy. We'll talk about, when it's right to do this, next steps. And I feel like it's partially an opportunity to get closer to God,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Mhm. I've noticed that, and that's kind of what I've gleaned from a lot of my jumping ahead
Yeah.
disappointments that have come because of that. It's like, okay, I heard you, but then I kind of stopped paying attention because I was in the go mode, okay, we're doing this.
Do
But
you do you feel do you feel more peaceful though on things like that and not having to make them a rush
I do
now?
now.
Yeah.
I
It's
do now.
a learning place that helps us have peace So yeah, it showed us something we need.
It did. It really did. And it's, yeah, it was a piece of the journey. And like I said, I don't think he's upset about that. And so if anybody's listening to this and you feel like, oh man, I've done that, he's not upset about it. He's probably actually happy that you're like, oh, you heard and you took action. And I appreciate that. But how about we talk things over a little more? How about we hang out a little more and just, yeah, spend time in my presence. We're going to talk about this, what it's going to look like, and all the timing. And there are times probably when it is like, I'm right now. I need you to do this now, and that will
Yes.
we kind
You'll
of
know it.
right. And you've been praying about something for quite a while, and God is leading you towards something, and you've already been praying, and then a door opens, and
Yeah.
you automatically know. I know that this, and you don't even have to be like, oh, let me pray about that for the next week. It's like, this is God answering my prayer now. I've already been talking to him about this for quite some
Yes.
time. And I know that this is the exact door he's opening right now and I'm thankful kind of that I can recognize that now.
Yeah.
And so, not that it's everything's all perfect.
Or it's not always no, but it was part of also the broken chapters. There was big signs, being a part of that I mean, even a challenge, a workshop that I was doing to research for my upcoming book, I called it Rewrite Your Destiny.
Oh,
So when you shared about this opportunity, because I had been in your workshop challenge before, because I knew I would be writing.
yeah.
I had just started doing some of it. And then you put looking for the authors and then read how God rewrites our stories. I'm like, is this the start of it all?
So yeah, that's a
So
good example. Like
yeah,
just the
there was a word that you used and it was like, okay.
the right door opened and you knew that it was
Yeah.
an opportunity that he was presenting. I love that so much. Well, let's go there. Let's talk about what you're up to now. You are writing a full book
Yeah,
of your own. You've been working on it for a little while.
I
And
have.
tell us about that.
So I have it out with some pre-readers right now. So that's great and working on the cover. And it's called Resurrect Your Destiny. In God's garden, buried dreams are never dead. So one of my buried dreams was to be an artist. And that was one I buried so deep when I thought about life and what I wanted out of life. I didn't even remember the art, but he brought that back up. So he also showed me some ways to help others do that. And years ago, I did a workshop in a local church here. And I'm like, I need to bring this workshop to kind of a book and online because there's more people that this could easily, especially nowadays with all the things we can do online, there's more people that I can easily share this with. So I have that ready to go, and I'm not sure if I will have it yet in 2023 because there's so many steps behind the scenes we don't realize. So even if the book's done, it can still take a couple months.
That's so
But
exciting, but it's coming
eager
soon.
to do that.
Coming soon. I love
Yes.
that. Yes. And so, okay, so this is a topic I think a lot of people will really enjoy is like unearthing the buried dreams that we've had. And
Yeah.
maybe they're dreams from a young age or just somewhere along life. I've always, for me even, I've always wanted to learn how to play the piano. That seems like a small thing, but I think a lot of people have some small things and they probably have some bigger things too that they'd really like to um, revisit.
And there's people who've spent so much of life in a survival mode.
Mm.
They don't realize that sometimes to step forward, take one of those little steps, that could bring them out of survival mode.
Oh,
That some of the things I learned through the doing ministry in Haiti. where
Wow.
people didn't know how to dream. What does it mean to dream?
Mm,
What does it mean to think of something bigger than what is right here now?
mhm.
To
Wow.
look past circumstances. Yeah, I say so much that seems so deep and wise, but yet it's hard to put it in a book, right?
Well, I think even just bringing some of these things up, and the fact that you said working with people in Haiti who have literally never even allowed themselves to dream because they're in such survival mode. That's so sad. That's so sad to me. But I think there are ways even here in the US and other countries where it's we might not think survival mode, but then again, circumstances in life can make us feel like it's survival mode and we just push all of those things aside. Maybe we did dream at one time, but we've stopped, and that is sad. Okay.
God needs us fully alive.
Yeah, that's right. And he has dreams for us, and he has
Yes.
plans for us. And so, what are those? And if we can just tap into the things that he actually has already put into our hearts, that he wants to partner with us on, that are
Yep.
according to his purposes in the world, that's exciting. That's really exciting. And that can really help people to come alive again when they discover what all of that is. So I'm excited to read your
It
book,
does.
Judi, and
You
remind us.
will.
Woohoo! I might even be able to help you with the publishing process on that. And so okay, can you say the title one more time?
Resurrect your destiny. In God's garden, buried dreams are never dead.
Okay, so everyone watching this interview, I don't know when you're going to watch this in the future, be on the lookout for Judi Kruis's new book. And yes, it is coming soon. If this has been a topic of interest to you and you think it would make a meaningful difference in your life to resurrect some things that have been buried for a while. And yeah, I love it so much. Okay, so as we wrap this up, Judi, how can people connect with you? What's the best way? Do you have a website,
I
online,
do.
social
Yeah.
media?
Right now, the best way is at Judi Kruis, JudiKruis.com. So I have art page there, author page there, and coaching page. So there's a sign up form. You can connect with me through that. That's the easiest way right now.
Perfect. So if you want to check out Judi's art, her coaching services, and upcoming book information, yes, go to judikruis.com. Okay, love it. And if you are an aspiring author out there, I recommend that you get your name as a domain name, just like Judi has,
Yeah.
as soon as possible if you don't already have it. And if you have a super common name, maybe you do like Susie Smith author.com or something like that, so you can at least secure a page to talk about what you're up to. Okay, well, I think we should wrap this interview up. And thanks, Judi. This has been really great talking with you. Thanks for being on.
And thank you, Krista. It's been great through the Author Acceleration Program too, to have so many resources right there for us as we're progressing in our calling. So it's beautiful. Thank you.
You are most welcome. I love helping authors on their journeys just because I feel like it's a God calling and God messages for people. And I feel honored to have a little piece of people's journey in their callings and messages to get out to people. So it is great work that I love doing. So thank you. Thank you. Okay. And just stay tuned for more upcoming interviews from our Broken Chapters author interview series. We're happy that you are watching. And again, you can find Broken Chapters for sale in Kindle and paperback on Amazon. So we will see you next time on our next interview here. Great to have you with us, and blessings to you all. Bye for now.